What you been up to? State Representative Cedric Glover joins us in Studio 4.
Man.
Probably he'll just stay overnight, be here tomorrow morning. What the hell is
I
that going to
gotta read what he posted because this troubles me. The funding levels for both the LSU Med School and University Health Hospital contained in the House bill remain the same as earlier indicated. $15.5 million less than what's needed for the hospitals, and only $4 million for the med school. That's $22.8 million less for the med school than what the House approved earlier this week. Are you serious?
Absolutely serious.
What are they going to do?
Well, apparently on the last, not even the last day, the last half day of the third session, the two specials, the regular, on June 23rd is when the administration revealed that we now have a heretofore unrevealed funding formula. Now that we have accepted Medicaid expansion, that's going to be able to take that $4 million and miraculously transform it into $36 million.
Do you buy that?
I am a supporter of the governor, and so I want to not get into too big of a fight other than ones I've already gotten into.
But you sound skeptical.
But I am
that sounds like loaves and fishes.
Well, it is the kind of thing that creates the kind of skepticism in government that accounts for why there is so much negativity that abounds around the state, the city, the country. Because here I am, I'm a legislator. I've been there since Valentine's Day, back in February, and here we are, afternoon on June the 23rd, after we've gone back and forth about the funding levels needed for the hospitals, for the medical schools, and what have you.
And on the very last day,
we can do away with $26 million that the House has placed into the budget for the hospital. They'd already taken that 26 and cut it down to 10 with Senate amendments. And then that 10 went to 4 with the caveat that now we're going to be able to transform and leverage this $4 million into 36, and that will account for the funding needs for the medical school.
Pardon me, I had asked you a couple of seconds ago, and I kind of interrupted, and I said, do you buy that? Let me sort of, on the tail end of that, let me ask this. Not do you buy that, do you understand that?
Well, that's just it. They were not in a position to be able to give anything other than a cursory explanation. I wasn't invited to that meeting because I guess I wasn't.
But you're one of their guys. Pardon me.
I'm trying to be, but now I made it very clear. My priorities are in line with what's best for Shreveport. Now, the governor wants the hospital and the medical school to be open. For me, I need to make sure that they are adequately funded so that they can be strong, that they can be vibrant, that they can continue to fulfill the mission that they have in this area and hopefully be able to grow and expand and become an even greater source of opportunity. And there was no assurances given that is what we're getting in this situation.
Senator Tarver told us last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, that the LSU Med School will be able to outsource and bring in money like the med school in New Orleans does. Is that a viable option? That sounds like that's going to take a little while to get that set up and going.
Well, $150 million was the number he was. I mean, it's a ton of money.
Again, they've got to go out and develop the relationships with the other area hospitals to be able to bring in that additional revenue and what have you. Those are the types of things that concern me because we were not able to be able to get people in the room at the same time, have a consistent, coherent, transparent conversation so that there was clear understanding. You have to understand, one of the things that government functions best under is having one conversation with one individual, one conversation with another group, tell one this, tell the other that, and then just get the whole train running and get it too fast and too convoluted for anybody to be able to stop and really understand it. And because you don't want to end up breaking the whole thing down, just everybody will vote no and it'll go through and we'll figure it out in the wash. My approach to that is to say, no, let's stop this thing.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody in the room that needs to be. Let's make this an open, transparent process. Let's gain some understanding, build some consensus, and then go forward.
But the session's over.
Absolutely, which is why I voted no.
What happens now?
Well, we have the funding levels that, as indicated right now currently, that I voted against, and we're going to be monitoring. I'll be asking for a fuller, deeper, clearer understanding of exactly how $4 million is going to end up becoming $36 million and how the $15 million funding gap for the partnership hospitals is actually effectively going to get filled and to make sure that we end up being in the right position at the right time.
Two questions. One, you voted no. Any blowback from the Edwards folks, the Edwards administration?
Well, they weren't happy, but that's not a concern of
We
mine.
thought you liked us, Cedric. And the other one, in 6 months, where do you see the process? Where do you see all this being in 6, 8, or 12 months?
Well, it could be very much in trouble, especially if revenue generation doesn't go as hoped. We end up with some shortfalls. There doesn't end up being some additional mid-year monies coming available that the joint budget will able to recognize and do some interagency transfers or some BA7s or some of those accounting tricks that we have done over the decades that accounts for why it is that we're in the shape and condition that we're in.
The same things, pardon me, Aaron, the same things that John Bell was so critical of Jindal for doing?
Absolutely. In many aspects of what transpired with regard to hospital funding, that's one of the things that I said to Governor Edwards and I said to my fellow legislators. Is that I thought we were turning the page away from this type of smoke and mirrors, not really here, we're not sure, let's spring it on you at the last minute approach to how it is that we go about funding the priorities of the state of Louisiana.
University Health, we have got to talk about it. We've already lost so many of our best and brightest from over there. If you're sitting down with that hospital administrator today, this got to be jobs. That's the only place they have left to go. Are we really looking at that now?
Well, that's part of what I think is the problem. That's why I said to the governor, your folks are saying that 50.5 million in funding for the partnership hospitals is sufficient. The partnership hospitals, not just University Health, but others across the state, are saying that that number is $15.5 million low. And let's figure out whether or not one side is right or the other. That was one aspect of this that they were not willing to do, which is why I was not willing to go along.
Does your no vote indicate that you think the governor is wrong? I mean, that their numbers are wrong.
I think that their numbers, well, it's at this point, unless you can help me understand how your numbers are right, then in my estimation, they're wrong.
So what happens now? We got July 1st is when the new budget
and
kicks in.
And we got about 20 seconds. I'm sorry.
Well, we're gonna go forward and see what happens and see how this $4 million in funding that was $26 million when it left the House of Representatives that ended up in the final supplemental budget as $4 will end up being sufficient to fund the operations of this Shreveport Medical School.